This podcast is part of the A3K network. For more information, visit www.anime3000.com.
Warning. The views and opinions expressed by this producer are not necessarily the views and opinions expressed by Anime 3000, its producers, partners, or affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.
Come on down to the other side. Come with us through the gates of hell. We will drag you from where you are to where you belong.
Hey everybody, we're back! I know, I'm shocked too. It's The Other Side. I'm Cody Byer.
And I'm Alex Berry.
And we're gonna talk to you about some more things. Some of the things we say will be negative, some will be positive, because that's what we do. We give you, what's that? The other side of things. Yes, that's right. We're not all dick sucky and fanboy beat-offy, geek, nerd guys. You get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Alex, what's our topic for today?
Well, Cody, I was thinking that we'd discuss an animation studio that is widely accepted all over the anime fandom as one of the top of the line, one of the best in the entire anime industry.
Well, surely you're talking about Production IG.
No, I'm not, actually.
What is this? Well, then what studio could you possibly be referring to?
I'm talking about fan-favorite anime studio, Gainax.
Oh, my lord.
Oh, you don't like Gainax?
Do I look like a man of low tastes and standards to you?
Well, you don't like His and Her Circumstances, The Melody of Oblivion, Gurren Lagann, or Lagann?
Glagaglagen, Aken Flocken Lagenbogen.
That sounds like a German name. Oh, and speaking of Germans, of course, you've got Neon Genesis Evangelion. I know you like that one.
Oh, it's just great.
So are you telling me, Cody Barr, are you telling me that one of the most widely beloved and highly respected studios in the entire anime industry has produced a number of series that are not good?
I think to say what you have said is the equivalent of saying Ted Bundy was an unpleasant fellow. Gainax, I don't know what happened to these people. You have Nadia, The Secret of Blue Water, which is a fan-fucking-tastic show. Probably one of the best shows of its era, the 90s. Mm-hmm. And it's just really well done, well written, well conceived, except for the filler, but even they'll acknowledge that was, there were production issues.
Yeah.
And then it ends, and they start a new show, Neon Genesis Evangelion, and then something happened over there. Some comedy of errors. I hear tell, I'm curious as if this is true, that one of the head creative people, someone in a very high position at Gainax, who was partially responsible for Nadia, left Gainax and went on to make a little ditty help produce a little ditty called Chrono Trigger.
Oh.
Now, if this is true, it would explain so much. Apparently, this individual contained all of Gainax's creativity and quality control. And when he left, with him went that. Because, the Gainax of old, the Gainax that produced Nadia, The Secret of Blue Water, would never have said, let's just end our series on crayon drawings while we read Sigmund Freud studies and whatever backwards. Let's just read them like, ich Flegment have the odd id beim the super ego left leben.
Well, maybe it's just too deep and you didn't get it.
Well, maybe I don't have a response for that. That's because if I did, you know what? I'm glad I didn't get it then. I wouldn't want to get that because that's so stupid. I would worry about myself if I could fathom that.
Fair enough.
That's like if you see a moron, they just do something so stupid, and you're like, what was going through their head? The fact that you don't know signifies that you're one of intelligence. If you knew what was going through their head and understood it, you would be one of ill thought.
I see.
So I'm glad I don't get Evangelion. I'm glad, because that shows that I am of stable mental health and it shows that I am not a retard.
They should do that for school testing. Play a few episodes of that and say like, all right, did you understand that? Can you transcribe what you just watched into a coherent description and see which kids go for it and which don't. And, if they went along with it and they understood it, then okay, we're putting him in the special classes. He's gonna ride the other bus to school.
He's just going to sit there with all the other crazy kids and wax philosophical. He's just going to be sitting there in the short bus going, so, no, what he was trying to, it was an expression of depression. You see, Shinji's inner mental anguish was represented by the bus, because the bus is, I'm sorry, not a bus, the train, it symbolizes, because this is a place where most people congregate, but he's alone in the train, so it shows that he's alone in the world where most people are. I mean, don't you get it? I like pretty ponies. Pretty pony. Yes, pretty ponies are good, but what I'm trying to say is that the self, he was trying to say that it is composed of two selves. Now, Freud once wrote that we are composed of the id, the ego, and the superego, but what I submit to you is that this id, ego, and superego is a second individual that is sort of the critic to the self. What do you think? Pony, the gallop, clip, stop doing that to my face. Galloping pony, stop it. Stop, yeah. Galloping pony. And then all's right with the world.
Yeah, that made too much sense for me, so.
Just let these people talk at retards.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, I don't know if you noticed by my name dropping of Freud's 3 things, I actually have studied psychology.
Oh, really?
I studied it to learn to write. I studied a lot of extra things that have nothing to do with writing to learn to write. And I studied psychology so I could, write better characters, because if you know how the mind works, you can better write what's going through other people's mind, And as someone that, I'm not a psychology major, I studied it on my own. But as someone that studied psychology, Evangelion psychology is largely bullshit. Evangelion psychology is what a teenager thinks psychology is, you know what I mean? Whoa, my pain, my life is pain. But where does my pain come from? What poetic words can you use to describe my pain? If you had to put my pain into like 5 sentences, what 5 sentences would you use to encapsulate my pain? But please use as much flowery terminology as you can to describe my pain.
I describe my pain by referencing Korn lyrics, so that's good enough for me. I don't go in for any of that fancy stuff. So.
And finally, Korn was able to describe my dissatisfaction with our president by letting us know that he is a member of the Illuminati. Thank you, Jonathan Davis, and your wonderful dreadlocks.
Oh, you're talking about the band Korn. Okay, no, I was talking about something else.
Yeah, I like to listen to the dulcet sounds of just corn.
Yeah.
I just sit in the cornfields and listen to what they have to say.
Exactly. Because if you're truly crazy, I mean, you're not like high school, I wish I was crazy, but like legitimately crazy, that's the route you take. Speaking of legitimately crazy, I know we're going to get to it eventually, and I'm kind of eager here. Let's talk about 2 Gainaxian heroines named after ladies' frilly things.
Oh, I was thinking we would get to this at the end, because how do you follow a discussion on this piece of garbage? Oh my god! Seriously, people out there that like the show, you're wrong. Your thoughts and opinions are wrong. But seriously, how? I have to know. How do you watch this and say, I enjoyed what I just saw in front of me? How do you see that everything about the show is awful? It's so bad. It's almost like it's mocking you. Like, you're dumb enough to like this, you piece of shit. I'm gonna fucking rip off, straight wholesale, a character from Invader Zim, and you're gonna eat it up, because you suck. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna have him say one word, and I'm gonna have him say it all the time. You thought Pokemon were bad? Wait till you see this motherfucker. And I'm gonna give him his own nonsensical special episode, and I'm just gonna animate this thing in Flash. I ain't actually gonna do any animating. I'm gonna let Flash do it all for me. And I don't really know how to draw in American Angular style. I'm just gonna kind of wing it. And you're gonna eat it up anyway, cause that's the show. The jokes don't even have punchlines.
Yeah.
There's,
Well,
can you call them jokes? They don't have no punchlines. It's just like, hey, like, the punchline is literally dicks. The punchline is dicks. What was the setup to? Some dicks.
hey, Cody, you want to hear a funny joke?
Tell me a funny joke.
A guy walks into a bar, all right, and he
Okay.
whips his dick out and he starts
God.
waving it at people, and
my
like this woman jumps up and like her tits fall out, and the guy gets all crazy and he like blows a load all over the place, and then everybody jumps up and vomits. The end. But
That's the best joke I ever saw. Or heard. You can't really see a joke.
You saw it in your mind. It was so vividly described that, you know.
For
it's like I
those
was
who
painting
haven't...
you a picture.
Yes, exactly. You took me there. I felt like I was there when her boobs came out. It's like I could see them jiggle.
Yeah.
But for those who have not seen the show, like, I heard it was funny. I was thinking of checking it out. Let me tell you a joke from this show. Let me tell you a couple hilarious bits of comedy, hilarious hijinkery from this show. And keep in mind, whenever someone says, I love Panty and Stocking, this is the kind of thing they are recommending you, and this is what their sense of humor tells them is comedy. These are both from the OAV, short little skit from the show. I don't know if these things, it's like a bunch of little skitlets. I don't know if these things can be called jokes or skits. They are just simply, like, they are the television equivalent of the noises retards make when they attempt to communicate. If you've ever been around a special person, and they have made this noise, this is pretty much the televised version of that.
We're going to be ragging on mentally handicapped people a lot in this podcast, aren't we?
They're very easy to jump to. They're easy targets. What are they going to do? They're going to complain? They can't type. It's not like they're going to file a complaint. Someone's got to file a complaint for them. And then you don't know if they're actually filing a complaint for somebody or they're lying.
Touché.
So you just... Exactly. They're the easiest targets in the world, and I'm a coward, so I'll pick on easy targets all day long.
Huh.
So anyway,
what are these little script abortions, as I like to call them?
Okay,
Little bits that
one
they
of
couldn't
them
fit into the regular episodes, as random as those were.
Yes. One skit consists entirely, and I'm not making this up, of the black preacher, garter belt, playing with two Panty and Stocking toys on his nipple.
Mm-hmm.
And doesn't lead up to a punchline. It doesn't lead up to an end. It's just simply him pretending that his nipple is a monster, and when it gets erect, he's like, oh no, the monster's growing! I guess this is when people start to laugh. A monster's growing like nipples when they get hard! And then, I'm guessing that's the desired reaction. And then that's it. He plays with these two toys on his nipple for like 5 minutes, and then it just ends. There's no joke. There's not even a joke. There's not even a gag. It's just him playing with two toys on his nipple.
Well,
Nope.
I'm sorry that you didn't get that it was obviously a metaphor for post-World War II Japanese economy. But whatever. I'm Cody. I don't know what metaphors are. I just take everything literally.
I'm just not deep enough, I guess. And
I
then...
mean, that has to be the case, right? Because no animation studio would go, all right, we're just going to make this little OAV sketch with a black dude playing with toys on his man tits. That wouldn't happen. That doesn't happen in reality.
I'm afraid... Not only does it happen in reality, people suck the animation studio's dick for it. But that's not all. In the OAV, we see an assembly line of babies. As there is an individual circumcising these babies on the assembly line as they come through. The foreskin of these babies, which is drawn and depicted, by the way, is then taken to a large processing thing where it goes on some conveyor belts and is dipped into a deep fryer and then packaged off and then poured into a bag. Basically, they are deep frying and selling babies' foreskin as food. In which case, it then cuts to Stocking, the annoying little goth girl with a voice that's about 2 pitches above dog whistle. And these things are poured in this bag, and she then has a bag of them because she loves snacks, and she eats the foreskin and smiles at the camera. End of skit.
You know, that one might actually seriously be a metaphor for Japanese economy.
They're feeding us foreskin.
No, seriously, have you ever tasted like Japanese snack foods and candies and different things? You know, I wouldn't
Occasionally.
be surprised if, I mean, that was bits of people.
And that's again, that's the whole joke. Just here's some foreskin. Now someone's eating it. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. Joke.
Because it's so absurd that it's comical.
This show, there's literally no redeeming value in this show. There's no appeal to it. I don't know how it's pop. Well, I kind of do. If you look at the comments for any like video of this show where people are praising it, they're dumb. I'm sorry. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna channel the Spoony one here and say the people that like the show, by and large, are dumb. Because this is a dumb show for dumb people. This is a show where the creators fucking admit they were inspired by the humor of Drawn Together, one of the worst shows Comedy Central has ever unleashed onto the world. And people at Gainax thought this was a good idea. They made a show, came up with it while they were drunk, based it, and that's not a joke.
Yeah, that's the real backstory behind this. Supposedly, they
Yeah.
came up with it while they were on some drunken retreat, and they basically came up with script outlines for the entire thing in like a weekend or something, didn't they?
Oh, and it shows. It fucking shows. And they decided to get an inspiration for their humor on Drawn Together. Drawn Together is so bad. For those who haven't seen it, Drawn Together is so bad. It will make you so angry. You will feel the need to hunt down the people responsible. The Drawn Together is nothing but we have taken archetypes of different kinds of cartoons. Now they are doing raunchy things for over 20 minutes. There is your joke. Hey, here's a Disney princess acting like a slut. Isn't that the most funny thing you've ever seen? You see, it's funny because Disney princesses usually don't act like sluts. So we are going past your expectations. You see, we have a Superman character, but he's not being very Superman-like. Oh, Drawn Together, you cards. Oh, is that a penis? Oh, my word. This is comedy gold. Tell me there aren't going to be breasts. Breasts, too! My word!
It's like
What
they
kind...
taking cartoons, just flipping them on their heads. It's like, fuck
It's-
your perceptions of things, viewers.
My word. Did you study at the Seth MacFarlane School for Comedic Geniuses? I mean, seriously! I was going to watch some Richard Pryor stand-up videos, but who needs that garbage now that I've found this comedic bliss? And so, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's base our humor on Drawn Together. This show is, there's literally nothing
Dude,
good about it.
Do you think that this show is their way of like making fun of Americans? Like, is this one like huge, big in-joke on American people and like the kind of animation we produce?
I kind of considered that watching this. It is like a ripoff of American animation, but it does it so poorly. And it does it poorly in a way that's almost derisive to it. Like, it's all in Flash. It's very choppy. A lot of Flash shortcuts.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a lot of like one part of their body is obviously a separate object that's being slid up and down and back and forth and all that.
Yeah.
Usually and when it's not done in Flash, it's basically 2 frames of animation. So it shifts between Newgrounds.com and Mr. Game & Watch. And there's no middle ground. Nothing is animated well, except when they decide to drop the American style animation for more realistic style because, you know, it's Gainax. They pretty much, now they live off of things that people fap to. And you can't fap to angular characters, so they draw them realistically.
I can.
Well, that's you, Alex. You're depraved. But yeah, so they you know, I mean, you can't stick an angular woman on a body pillow, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So they have to draw them more realistically for like these striptease scenes because again, Gainax can't survive financially if they don't give their audience something to beat off to because that's what they are now. They're whores. They're whores for otaku. They can't, you know, that's their whole livelihood is naked girl statues and body pillows and all that shit. So
yeah.
it's and really is. I watch this and there's no feasible way a person with taste and a brain, not just intelligence, a brain to speak of, can watch this and say, I enjoy this. The jokes have there's no joke. And when it's not being raunchy, it's just reference humor. It's that stupid fucking reference humor that seems to pass for comedy nowadays. And Family Guy is a good fucking example of this. This whole thing where it's like, You don't need a punchline anymore. Just bring up something. It's like, hey, why the chicken cross the road? I don't know why. Voltron! Voltron, I remember that show. Hey, knock, knock. Who's there? The Legend of Zelda. Oh my god, I've played those games! Son of a bitch, you're the funniest man alive!
Yep.
That's what this is. Like, like someone once tried to convince me this is funny by saying, look, this monkey, it looks like Phoenix Wright. Okay. And then they seem to be upset with me that I demanded anything else.
Yeah. But it's something that you're used to, but it's presented in a medium that you're not used to. That's hilarious, right?
There's literally nothing good about the show. We've established it's not funny, and the animation is ass.
Yep.
And I love when it inexplicably tries to have a story and dramatic moments near the end. Oh, you adorable, stupid little bastard. No.
You didn't tear up when Panty lost her virginity again after she got it back, or actually I didn't understand that whole subplot. I don't.
Virginity does not work that way.
Yeah. But
You
it
didn't
was
get your
magical.
virginity back. You didn't get your virginity back. You got your hymen back.
Oh
But,
yeah, they
I-
specifically said it was a hymen or whatever. So.
Yeah. And I do like how one person tried to justify the show by saying they put so much effort into it. They had their female animators animate this one scene with Brian's like, which scene was it? And the person declined to respond. Come on, tell me what scene it was. What scene did they put all the effort to make sure they got the faces right? Come on, which scene? What was the scene? What was the scene? Tell me the scene. We all know what the fucking scene was. They put effort into it. They wanted to make sure their O faces were so authentic they could be even more fappable than usual. Anyone, by the way, who got an erection watching this show, cut your dick off. You're not using it right. Give it to someone else. There's plenty of guys out there who have lost their dicks in accidents. They could use their dicks properly. They could get women if they were so inclined. Donate your dick. You're not using it right. You're getting hard to this shit. So donate your dicks today. But now, so we've established the animation is ass. The comedy is for people who, had lobotomy. The comedy is this show has an audience of one person, and that person is Terry Schiavo. You have to have a giant hole in your brain that has rendered you a near vegetable in order to find legitimate enjoyment in this show.
Well, what do you think of the soundtrack? What are those banging tunes like?
Oh, we in my territory now. You know I'm a big music freak.
Yeah.
So, this show has 3 very good songs in the soundtrack, to its credit.
Huh.
And what I'm going to do, I'm going to tell you what those songs are for the people out there that you can just go out, grab the songs, and avoid the rest of the soundtrack. So here are the 3 songs from Panty and Stocking that are worth your time. And they're actually surprisingly good. I actually think they're actually so much better than the rest of the soundtrack that I'm convinced the soundtrack composer stole them. And it's like they're actually very good. They're actually on my iPod. And I kind of hate it because my iPod shows the album art, so I have to look at Panty and Stocking covered in cum. That's the fucking album art. Subtle, dipshits. But of course, oh my god, it's so hot, they're covered in cum. I like to beat off the cartoon women. So, yeah, I have to look at that every time I play the songs. But that being said, these are the 3 songs. The 3 songs are Fallen Angel, the ending theme. The theme of, I'll just call them the Demon Sisters because their names are so stupid I don't want to speak them. So the Demon Sisters
socks.
The Demon Sisters theme song. And Chocolat. Which is plays in one episode, I think, when she falls in love with some sperm ghost or something. It's actually a nice little song.
Okay.
Yeah, the song. It's a nice little song for a stupid little scene.
Never
And that would be it. There's one song, I'm not going to play it, but it is an average song. I think it's called, like, Champions or something. It's not good, but it's not bad either. It's just there. But then, the rest of the soundtrack is basically composed of 30-second loops played over and over for 4 minutes each. It is basically what people who don't like techno think techno is.
Yeah.
And, like, for instance, there's a track, Beverly Hills Cock. Let's hear a little clip. Yeah, that's the whole thing. It's just for 4 minutes. And that's pretty much most of the tracks. Sometimes they like to throw in something a little different by throwing in the sounds of women having sex, because, you know, that's all this show is.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to think that might be the appeal. Like, really, really lonely guys that never get any. So they're, like, indulging in this, like an anime that's acting like it's cool for being so sex-obsessed. Maybe it's an outlet for some sexual frustration. So I wonder, are there any Panty and Stocking fans out there that are regularly getting any? If you are one, well, and by if you are one, I mean if you're going to lie and pretend to be one, please bring it up in the comments. But yeah, and like there's one song that was like seems like it's gonna be good at first, which is Corset's theme, which another oh my god, more characters named after underwear. You're the most brilliant person ever. And
Dragon Ball Z
Corset's
did it first.
Yeah, and did it better because it, you know, named people after different things.
Yep.
And basically this theme seems like it's going to be cool at first until you keep listening like, oh, that first minute is pretty much the whole song, huh? Do you even have a chorus? Or are you just going to loop this sample and sing over it? You're just going to loop the sample? Fan-fucking-tastic. You are the best soundtrack composer ever. Who needs Yoko Kanno when I've got you? Some idiot from some Japanese hip-hop group. I don't even remember his name. But, yeah, that's the soundtrack is ass. I mean, there are 3 very good tracks in a soundtrack that is pushing 30 tracks. Holy shit.
Well, how about Panty and Stocking with Gotterbelt, the worst album, which is apparently a remix album. And,
oh my! I have not heard that.
Yeah.
That will be an adventure.
I'm looking at some of the tracks here. Let's see. There's Cherry Corrida, the Cock's Gone, the Death of a Bitch mix.
You know what I'm starting to think? I'm starting to think like a bunch of Japanese guys just discovered English curse words. And now there's like a whole new world open to them, and they're just going crazy with it. It's like when like 12-year-olds are by themselves and no adults around, they just cuss meaninglessly.
Yeah, exactly. It's high school kids trying to, gross each other out, or act all edgy or whatever.
Like, I can just see like if these guys remix like actual electronica songs, like our theme song, The Other Side, and you just like checking out on The Other Side, cum guzzling bitch tit mix. Or like fucking, like Wonderful, raped dubstep in the ass with your cum on the fucking ears and fuck mix. Check that shit out.
And if you think that's a really out there exaggeration, it's not even as bad as you want it to be. I'm looking at the track list now, and this one is called. Apparently, all the Cherry Corrida songs they had to give really bizarre mix names to. There's When You Wish Upon a Hole mix.
What the fuck does that even mean?
I don't know, man.
When you wish upon a hole, makes no difference who you pull. What the hell does that mean? Suck my dick.
There's the black, huge, solid, and stinky version.
What the fuck?
There's also the Cock Chopper Blues or Cock Fucker Rhapsody.
I'm stuck. No, go back to Big Black Solid and Stinky? So are we talking about like a big black guy with a big dick, but he doesn't wash it properly? Is that what we're talking about?
It could be anything. You just don't know with this show.
You know what? They don't know. They just picked English dirty words.
Or how about Cherry Corrida 4, the dry bitch and wet goth girl mix?
Yep, they are just picking random words. They don't know what they're saying.
Seems
They
like it.
just discovered English word. These people just discovered a couple English words, and they're just going crazy with it. They learned English from watching Jackass.
Yeah.
Right in the bars.
Those do kind of sound like early Jackass skits. Or,
He eats the shit in his mouth. Big fat hairy man eat the shit.
they're like, man, people in America are gonna think this is hilarious.
Oh my god, there's no... And like, the characters in this thing have nothing beyond their shtick. There's nothing to Panty other than being a whore, there's nothing to Stocking other than eating sweets, and there's nothing to Garterbelt other than an LOL pedophile priest. Aren't we cutting edge? No, sir. You're off by about a few years. So yeah, there's no... I think we could just say solidly, unless you have any shocking news to give, that this is just not only an awful show, probably one of the worst anime that has come, worst shows in general that has come out of Japan in years. One of the worst,
I would agree
period.
with that.
Probably. It's just unpleasant. It is just unpleasant, and not even just like, oh, I was so offended. No, it's like, it is just joyless and stupid and like I feel like, I mean, well, first of all, I want to point it to everybody's like, but it has such a cool style. No, it doesn't. I submit this to you, Panty and Stocking fans, and this is assuming you can read and write and thus comment. So in the comments, if you have at least elementary school education, please answer this for me. How is this any different than all the idiotic teenagers copying manga art style on their shitty-ass DeviantArt pages? Because this was done by an animation studio? Is that what makes it different? That it was done by professionals? How is this any different than all the stupid-ass anime ripoffs? Like in Teen Titans, where they're already having, like, throwing anime into the fucking Bruce Timm style, like that fits. And then they'll just randomly go into a super deformed reaction that's just really stiff and awkward because they're not doing it right. How is that any different? Am I supposed to be impressed that it's our style getting ripped off by them? Japan acknowledges this as worthy. So I ask you, how is it any different? How is it any different than the kid drawing his giant sworded, spiky-haired Mary Sue motherfucker on the back of his school notebook? How is it any fucking different? And why should I be any more impressed by Panty Stocking than I am at that?
Well, your only mistake in presenting that argument is that a lot of people are going to be like, well, what's wrong with DeviantArt accounts and Americanized manga cartoons?
To that I say, look at it.
I mean, I don't know. This show feels like it's designed for people who, spend hours a day on DeviantArt and, oh look, it's Ichigo, but he's a wolf. That's awesome. I'm gonna fave that.
That's a pretty succinct way. All my fucking ranting, and you pretty much got it in a nutshell. What the hell am I on this show for? If it was just you, this thing would be over in like 10 minutes. And people will get the same people will get the same point.
Pretty much. People will just kind of leave this depressed, like, oh man, everything sucks.
Well, not everything, but unfortunately, everything that's largely and wildly popular with the anime fandom. Except for Code Geass. I don't know how that got through their filters. Well, yeah, I do, but not for its quality.
Well,
That was an anomaly.
speaking of positive things, now, out of Gainax's lineup, you said that you do enjoy Nadia. That was a series that you liked and you enjoyed.
Excellent.
Okay.
Excellent show.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll throw it in there too. There is a Gainax anime that I enjoyed for the most part. That's Magical Shopping Arcade Abenobashi.
No, I know that one, and that one was okay. It would have been good, but it had two things stopping it. One was minor, but then one was really fucking major. The minor one was
I think I know
like,
what these are, but go ahead.
the minor one was that, it was actually pretty good at satire, and I will give it that. I guess like the whoever was working on the satirical comedy left Gainax before Panty and Stocking started, and they would just kind of copy him because he was very good at like poking fun at things. But then it would like stop for a second and then just start making boob jokes, and some of them were creepy because they involved an underage girl. But of course it's Gainax, so who's fucking surprised? But yeah, there's one character. Her name is Mune Mune, which if I'm not mistaken, Mune means chest. And when you say something twice in Japanese, it's to like, you're really something. Like, that's hence the, English stereotype of like super happy, fun time, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you say something twice, if I could be mistaken, but if I remember correctly, if you say something twice, that's an emphasis. Like it's really this. So mune mune would be like chest. That's a chest's chest. That's one hell of a chest. That kind of thing. And she had big boobs, and whenever she was on screen, that was the joke. Like, is mune mune on screen? Boobs. Laugh at the boob. No, fap at the boob. Better yet, fap while you laugh. And we're good. Mune mune's on screen. Whip out your dick. Yeah, so that got old real quick. But, the thing that really killed it was the ending. When pretty much the show said, you know what? I'm done making sense. Magic, ancient alchemists with TVs, and he's in a house, and his shopping arcade is connected to the secrets of the universe and made of pie, and it's got 12 magic pillows, and you go to the special land of bleh, and it just ends on a giant Japanese man with his hands around the earth. White light. And then you come down from the PCP.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, being as short as it was, you can't say, well, it was good except for the ending, because as short as it was, the ending is such a chunk.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, it was really, most of that bullshit was confined to about 2 episodes, so...
But out of how many?
13, I believe.
Was it 13? I thought it was shorter than that. Was it 13 episodes? Pretty sure it's short as shit.
No, I'm pretty sure it was a 13-episode runner. Because, yeah, they
Now
released it in 4 volumes, so, yeah, it was 13 episodes.
Well, there's way more of this show than I thought then.
Oh.
I thought it was like Fooly Cooly and only had 6.
Oh. So you haven't seen the whole thing?
Apparently not.
Oh, okay.
This is news to me.
Oh, alright, well.
I may have to give this one a second chance. Maybe Gainax had a second wind. Of course, they lost it pretty hardcore, considering after Abenobashi, they released like some of their worst stuff.
Well, you didn't like the Petite Princess Eunice, or whatever that was called? Or,
that title
the
alone?
Ugly Yet Beautiful World?
Oh, this Ugly Yet Beautiful... Wait, which one was this Ugly Yet Beautiful World?
Gainax made that, right?
Yeah, but I'm trying to remember which one that was.
I don't know. I just remember that it was like some sort of, I don't know, was it like a space opera or something? I never actually watched it. I just saw like a few clips of it.
Some of their stuff starts to run together.
Yeah.
Like fucking that and His and Her Circumstances and a lot of their shit that came out around that time just to run together. And then like Gurren Lagann came out, and then you're like, holy shit, no.
Speaking of His and Her Circumstances, I actually watched about the first 2 volumes of that.
Volumes?
Yes. Okay.
How much time did you have?
Okay. Well, this is a disclaimer. I mean, I saw this series years ago. Now, this was back when I was first getting into anime and I was getting into it hardcore. And I thought, all right, if I'm going to be a real anime fan, I got to have every type of anime in my collection. So I went out and I got some giant robot series, and I got some action series. I got a drama or 2. I was all over the board, and that introduced me to a lot of really good shows. But I also thought, all right, romance has never been my thing, but maybe anime can do this stuff right. And I heard pretty much universally across the board that His Her Circumstances, or Karikano, whatever. This was supposed to be like the pinnacle of the romance genre, again, probably because it's Gainax.
Yeah.
And I think that was their first major release after Evangelion, so that was like, holy shit,
Yeah.
So being the idiot that I was, I got on board. Do you remember back when they used to release, couple of the localization companies over here began releasing the empty boxes?
Oh my, yes, that shit.
Where you would buy the
You could
first
collect
volume.
them.
Yeah, you'd buy the first volume, and it would come with the box itself, but so you would have to fill them up.
Yeah.
So, and obviously the only benefit of buying a box set normally is that you get all the volumes cheaper. But this was sort of the opposite, because you actually had to pay a few bucks more to get the box.
The only time that was ever an incentive was and Funimation damned their cleverness with Beck, because when they did that, they released it in a box that looked like a speaker.
Whoa, cool.
And the regular box set was not in this format. Now, being the music geek that both I am and my brother is, because we kind of I bought that for him, but I was like buying it for myself too. But it's his technically. We had to get the speaker box. It looks like an amp, basically like a speaker.
Yeah.
And like, oh well, we have to get that. Son of a bitch! You sneaky motherfuckers! You release back the entire series into a regular old pack, but when you do the one volume with the box, you make it like a cool speaker box. You son of a bitch! You. Here's my money, you jackass. Just take it. I'm just gonna go hide in the corner, defeated.
Well, I forget who distributed this one. I don't remember who it was.
I think it was probably Genion.
Yeah, it could be. Maybe. No, I don't think it was Viz. But anyway, they didn't have a particularly cool box. It was just, I'm like, oh hey, I'm gonna collect the whole series, so whatever. So I got that, and I watched the first volume. I kind of struggled through it, and I bought the second volume when it was released. And I think I got about 2 episodes into the second volume, and it kind of suddenly hit me. I was just sitting there watching, and I'm like, I hate this. I have not enjoyed anything that I have watched about this show yet. This is really quite unwatchable. And I ended up selling the like a third full box back to Suncoast for like $3 after I'd already put like $40 into it. Well, no, more than that, because this is back when anime volumes were like $30 a pop. So.
Yeah, and we had the infamous, overly expensive Heat Guy J box set, which helped to doom it, sadly.
Yeah. So yeah, I invested like $60 in this bullshit. Got like like $4 of store credit back. But yeah, so I watched a fairly good chunk of that, and even back then when my taste kind of sucked, I could identify that this was not a good show.
Yeah, I didn't get far in that at all. I couldn't sit through it. It was really boring.
It's really boring, and it's really pretentious. Like, they try to include all these little visual metaphors, like, it'll randomly cut to shots of stoplights, and that's supposed to, like, be a metaphor for their relationship, like whether it's going or stopping or how it's progressing or whatever, and they have these really long monologues where it'll show shots of the cherry blossoms, and I don't give a shit. Just,
it
move
was
the story along.
It didn't need to. It was art.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. You will like it. It's beautiful. It was you were right. I remember that show was crazy. I remember they had one episode that was entirely done in manga panels. There was no animation in it. It was just manga panels.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, so it was, that is not how you tell a romance. I actually can't think of a solid, like a romance. Maybe Spice and Wolf. I don't know if I'd count that. Maybe. I don't know. If we're counting it, then that's probably the only anime I've seen that's straight romance that actually worked. Because usually when an anime is straight romance, it's very boring and meandering. And I think, I guess I could call myself a writer. I haven't, done it too much yet. Mostly just starting shit. But as a burgeoning writer, and someone who studied, a lot of that stuff, spent most of his teenage years wasting most of his teenage years in books and, studying all this shit.
So you're a storytelling enthusiast.
Yes, let's say that. I've come to the conclusion that romance is best done as a subplot and not the focus. When you have romance as a subplot, you can use it. Romance is one of the best subplots you can find. Like, a lot of people say, why is there always a romantic subplot in, everything? Why does everything always have to have somebody fall in love with somebody? Because it works. You know what I mean? Why not do it? It works if you can do it right. It's guaranteed. You get so much shit easy in your story if you do a romantic subplot. You get easy character development. You can change up the overall status of the characters and where they are in their relationships with each other. Not just the couple, but the people around them and how they react to this relationship in one way or another. It can affect the plot in various ways. If you do it right, you get so much out of it. It's if progression and plot get you points, a well done romantic subplot is like a point gold mine. Yeah. And why not do it? So I say that's why in almost every piece of fiction, there's always a love, there's always somebody getting a girl, because it's, why the fuck wouldn't you? It works so well. But the thing is, like, it works to enhance things that already exist. If you use it by itself, it has nothing to enhance, and it becomes boring. That's why, like romantic comedies, as rare as they are, there are good ones. And straight romance movies just don't work. Romantic comedies work a little better because you have the comedic thing there. You have the story that already exists, so when you enter the romantic elements, you can enhance that. Again, they're rare, but you have stuff like The Wedding Singer. That's a romantic comedy. That's a good one. And, you know, you already have something there, and then the romance has something to enhance. The romance, storytelling-wise, is a spice. It's not the main course. It's like if you just have a romance by yourself, it's like just opening a salt shaker and just downing that shit. It's like, oh man, I love salt on my food. Holy shit.
Yeah.
It's not a good idea to chug salt, and it's not a good idea to have a story that revolves around a romance. Unless you have something else there, like Spice and Wolf had the fantasy elements, it had the economic elements, and it had the romance.
Well, something else about a lot of romance, especially anime, that kind of bugs me too is there's a lot of drama involved with real life romantic endeavors, but that's because it's happening to you. You are experiencing real feelings, and you know you're really into this relationship, and it's a roller coaster ride. When you're watching someone else go through a sort of romantic progression, it's not as exciting. So they have to spice it up with a bunch of bullshit artificial drama. Like I remember in His and Her Circumstances, again, I didn't even get halfway through the series, but there was a whole bunch of bullshit, you know, oh, does she like him? Does he like her? You know, he's got this tragic-ass backstory that's keeping them apart, and, you know, oh, he's going to go away now. How's she going to be able to deal with that and all this stuff? And it's like, this is meaningless. I don't feel anything for these characters because it's such artificial bullshit that they're going through.
Exactly. And not only that, we have to understand, though, a lot of romantic anime is geared toward lonely people. People that have never and will never experience love themselves. So they live vicariously through these characters. So you say, like, you know, it's not happening to you, so it's boring. But to the lonely otaku, it's actually made for. It's not, because they're emulating themselves through these characters, and sad as it is, they're feeling the things these characters are feeling because they're living through them, because they don't live much of a life on their own. I mean, that's why you see a lot of these guys with waifus, and you see that 2D dating shit, and you see a lot of, you know, like Japanese guys marrying anime characters and video game characters and shit. Not a joke either. That happens.
Yeah.
Including 2D dating. Folks, listen to the podcast. Look up 2D dating. Look it up.
Is that a
Oh
game
my-
or
2D dating? You know what 2D dating is. Okay, for
Well,
those
like
who
a-
don't
like,
know,
you're
like,
talking about like dating sims, like the
no. See, I know you know, but I guess you don't know that it's called 2D dating. It's when, like, you see pictures of, like, these guys, like, with a girl on their computer screen, and they've got, like, dinner. They're, like, on a date.
Oh, there's a name for that shit?
Yeah, it's called 2D dating. There's a whole art gallery. You can find
Okay.
not really art galleries. You can find whole galleries of pictures of guys that have done this. Like, going on dates with their waifus.
I didn't know that was a really big phenomenon.
Yeah, there's a ton of, like, just look it up. There's a ton of it.
Okay.
And of course, then we have the 2D date night. If you remember, Alex had once shown me a picture of a anime girl kind of laying and ready, and on the computer desk in front of the monitor was a fleshlight.
Yeah.
So that would be, I guess that would be the 2D dating night. 2D date night.
Oh man.
So that is who stuff like His and Her Circumstances is made for. Not like us, people that have loved and will love again and all that stuff, but people who don't experience it and live vicariously through these characters. Because like I said, like with all the projects that I'm working on, like just about every story I have has a romantic subplot, and it's just because, like, I really sit down and I try to, you know, make sure it works. Because for one thing, there's that visceral enjoyment as the writer of getting the audience to react the way you want, which is actually what you're supposed to do. It's like just about everything that I read, it said the same thing. It's almost like playing God. You need to manipulate your audience. You need to know the techniques to use, in terms of pacing and mood and all that stuff, and almost playing with them. You know what's going to happen, and you play with your characters like they're little puppets in your game, and you use it to manipulate the audience to feel how you want. It's almost like mind control if you think about it.
I suppose you go that far, yeah.
And a romantic subplot can help with that. You can get excuse me, you can get the audience to react the way you want, and that's what you should be using it for. If you want them to really get into it, like intense, like you don't want them to live vicariously through the characters. That's for pathetic people. You want them to like these characters, and then when you see them getting together, you want them to not live vicariously, but root for them. And then you throw some obstacles, and the people are like, no! And they're like, you gotta do it! And then you give them that moment, and then finally that scene where they finally kiss, you want the audience to go, yes! You don't want them to go like, ah, and like mime kissing themselves. You want them to go, yes! There you go! Go get her! Yeah! Motherfucker! You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so that's a well done, but that's the problem with romantic series is they don't get you to do that. They don't get you like, yeah, go get her, yeah, that's right, all that stuff. They don't get you cheering. They get you like they jump in and automatically assume you give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
They don't establish any shit giving, and that's the inherent flaw. And you put it very well that it happens to you, so you care. And I don't think a lot of writers realize that you have to get the audience to care. I remember one thing I read said, and it was for comic writing, because I'm getting into comics, and so it was comic writing, and they said, on the first pages of your first issue need to be awesome, because you need to come in expecting that any new reader doesn't know nor care who you are or what your work is. So the first and you need to have what's called flip appeal, so you need to have randomly interspersed really cool looking images, because a lot of comic readers, what they'll pick up something and they'll flip through it. They won't even read. They'll just flip. So you need to have it look good. When you have like random pages or like something really cool, like a cool splash page, is someone getting their head chopped off or something, depending on what kind of book you're going for.
Yeah.
And but
that
you need
should
to
have
have
been in his and her circumstances. I would have enjoyed the series more then.
Exactly, but you need to have those first few pages, like something exciting happens, or they're curious. Get them curious.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you have like a crime drama, the first few pages should depict the murder that's being solved, that kind of thing. So that immediately the audience says, let me see more. So basically, and a lot of these romantic comedy and romantic animes fail to do this. They don't get you wrapped in the first. They should get you like the first few minutes. You should want to keep watching. It's not, what magical romance will we be witnessing today? It's like, they need to, first thing, just jump in, here are these great characters, like, get you into the characters, give them some good personality. Make it like it's not even about the fucking romance. Then you bring that in, and just have something else there, because people aren't going to care about the romance immediately, so you have to have something else to fall back on. If you just have a romance, what are you going to do before there's any romance, and how are you going to get people into these characters if that's all you came into this thinking about?
Exactly.
And it's just kind of, I'm not going to go on that much longer, but I think that's an important point to make, because I know might be a bunch of people out there maybe wanting to do their own comic, or maybe wanting to write their own stories or whatever. And I think this is a learning experience. Learn from his and her circumstances. And a lot of Gainax's work. You need to get people to give a shit, and you need to get them to care from the first few minutes or the first few pages or whatever the case may be. You need to jump right the fuck in. You need to make people, for whatever reason, care. I mean, like for Black Lagoon. Black Lagoon is an amazing show. What's the first few scenes we see? We see, like, it's very mysterious and ambiguous, like with Rock narrating. And you're going, what is this? What is this? And then, what do we see? After we're out of his, the ambiguity? Pow! Punch to the face. And then these guys are whipping out guns. We're taking this shit. What's going on here? Now I was curious, and then you just grabbed me by the collar and said, watch this shit. That's a good example of what I'm talking about. Very first few minutes, you're like, huh? What is this? And then, pow! What up?
So start strong.
Start strong, yeah. And not only start strong, but have something to fall back on.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that's why straight romance. I keep saying it again and again. That's why straight romance never works.
Not for us anyway. But then again, we're guys in our 20s, so we're not the target audience, admittedly, but still.
We can look at it objectively.
I would like to think we can.
And I think before we end this podcast on Gainax, we need to discuss a little ditty called Gurren Lagann.
Have not seen it.
Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann. Now, there's a lot I can say, and I will say when I do this on Kuso. But I'm just gonna because there's a lot of jokes you can make, but not a lot you can discuss about this show. Like, there's 100 things in the show you can straight make fun of, but when you actually sit and discuss it, it's pretty succinct. It is a show that really, 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 really thinks that it's awesome, and it's really, 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 really not. It is essentially the anime equivalent of the villain from an 80s teen comedy. The bully that's like, "Hey, dork, what's up, nerd?" And then his buddies are like, "Good one, Chet, yeah." yeah. Like that guy that's like a total dork, but he thinks he's so damn cool.
Yeah.
He's what was his name? It's like Stalin from Better Off Dead. You know, like, "See you on the slopes, nerd." He just dumps something on his head. That's Gurren Lagann. It's like, dude, you are not cool. You are not funny. You're a giant douche.
Well,
That's
I haven't seen a lot of Gurren Lagann myself. I mostly just know it for all the catchphrases and macros that people create.
Yeah, first of all, the catchphrases, people stop it. It's dorky. These are stupid phrases. They don't make sense. Don't believe in yourself. Believe in me who believes in you. That doesn't change anything. He still doesn't believe in himself. He believes in you. That believing in you doesn't mean he vicariously feels and believes in everything you feel and believe in. That doesn't make sense. It wants you to believe that this dorky little kid will be the coolest thing in the world because he doesn't wear a shirt, but he wears a jacket. This guy that, as I established in the last podcast, looks like he came out of a gay rave B-roll, is supposed to be the manliest thing ever. We have a blatant fan service character who there's no need for her exist. She's Mai Shiranui from King of Fighters without the likability. Cause at least Mai Shiranui in King of Fighters was honest about it and other people called her on it. She might as well not even exist. She might as well just come on screen like, "Hey look, breasts," and then walk off. It's
message flashes at the bottom. There are boobs on your TV right now.
Yeah, like at one point, her top just comes off and her boobs bounce out, and she's like, "Oh no!" And it's like, didn't they make fun of shit like that in Aqua Teen Hunger Force? Like a year or two before this show is even made?
Yeah.
And for those who haven't seen it, I recommend at least looking up Bruno Sardine, Private Investigator. It was an amazing scene and pretty much sums up a lot of Gurren Lagann. And supposedly, I didn't look this up because I didn't care, but supposedly this girl's supposed to be 15. I call bullshit on that. No 15 has a rack like that, or hips like that. I can only assume it was just because they do a time skip later, so she wouldn't be too old after the time skip. No, she's totally in her 20s, guys. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Because there's no use for her except to spawn hentai. That's her purpose. For body pillows and hentai. And for you to own a little statuette of her so you can feel the boobs with your fingers.
Because that's just so much better than real women.
Oh yeah, who needs that?
Yeah,
you can't.
Figurines won't make fun of your acne.
They can't reject you.
Exactly.
But not only that. This show has a fascination with drills. Now, the implications are obvious. Listen to your laughing. I don't want to address the implications because it's too easy. I want to address how dumb and impractical that is. Drills are fine if you're one robot's shtick. Not for everything. First of all, I'm gonna get a little artist douche here for a second, and I'm technically a professional artist. Not as high up as I'd like to be, but I make money from my pictures.
Yeah.
And as someone who studied drawing and makes money for his pictures, that's not how you draw a fucking spinning drill. When you see professional artists in Japan, a drill bit has a spiral pattern on it so that it can penetrate and carry the debris out of the way. when it spins, the surface area, your eyes cannot follow the form, so it appears to be a solid shape. The surface area overtakes the spiral ridges, and it appears to be more of a solid, if not almost cylinder with a more transparent cylinder. It does not look like someone took a cone and just scratched on it like a schizophrenic writing "kill me." Just motherfucker, just take that pencil and just all over that fucking cone. That's not what a spinning drill looks like. That is never what a spinning drill looks like. The only way you could get a spinning drill to look like that is if you added smaller little spikes on the end, and even then, that would just make it look like a blurry mess, not a mass of scribble. Also, when you drill into something, you do not leave the shape of the spiral indent, because the drill is continuously spinning, so it wouldn't leave a perfect impression of what a drill looks like when it's stopped. It leaves a hole that is smooth with a texture that is spiral, but not in the shape of the singular ridge of the drill. So I like the fact that the show has so heavily incorporated a tool Gainax doesn't know how to draw. Now, that seems like a dumb thing to comment on, but this show has a really ass art style, and I think the drills really... And my final point on the show, the dialogue is so bad, it's hilarious. The show is actually watchable, for all the wrong reasons. The dialogue is... And it goes into those catchphrases. People spout these lines, and they mean them. It's not meant to be jokes. But the lines are hilariously stupid. And it's not even a translation thing. They're that way in Japanese. I remember once, like, this dude, like, the main love interest of the dorky kid was, like, created by this evil scientist with a beard. And, by the way, Japan and anime fans, something isn't inherently manly and awesome because you give it a beard and no shirt. I know you're trying to veer from the pretty boys, but that doesn't work. Again, I direct your attention to Black Lagoon. But yeah, so he fights this guy, I think, like, Lord something. And knocks him off a cliff.
Something.
Probably a better name than what his name actually is. And he gets knocked off this cliff and dies. And then this girl, the girl that he created, comes up, and I can't remember the exact line, and God, I wish I could, because I laughed so hard when she said it, because it was spoken so sincerely, and it seemed like a parody line. It was something like, "Father, I will always live for tomorrow, I will always live each day for the dreams of tomorrow," or something like that. I wish I could remember the line. It was so funny, and it was so bad.
It kind of sounds
and
like
it was that, and that's how people in this show talk. It is a show that is just, it thinks, it's so cool, and people, like the people that you really don't, and I get the feeling a lot of anime fans just kind of eat up shit they're told to eat up. I hate to sound pretentious, but it feels like that, you know what I mean? That they just eat up shit they're told to eat up, and they will react exactly the way they're told. So they're like, this show is so awesome! It's got drills! And I think you can always tell when someone has an opinion they were given, as opposed to opinion they formed. And I think that's if they can't tell you why. Like, their attempts to tell you why something is good to end up being general and nonsensical. Like, for instance, when I say, you know, how is Panty and Stocking funny, and I was given the example of the Phoenix Wright monkey. It doesn't tell me why it's funny. You just showed me a monkey that looks like a character from a video game.
what more do you need? You are unpleasable, man.
I actually like a lot of things. I just like the stuff that's good. And I can tell you why it's good. Now, if you're someone that likes Gurren Lagann, and you can sit down and tell me straight up why, then I can respect that. But a lot of people that like the show can't. And therein lies my point, that I think a lot of these people were handed their opinion. It's much like the people that listen to talk radio and parrot what they hear on talk radio, and they can't back it up when they're told to elaborate. Like, you hear a lot of, like, people saying, like, Obama wasn't born in this country, and you tell them to, give the proof. And like, well, he won't show his birth certificate. well, you know it exists. You could look it up, and it's there. Like, but why won't he show it? I would assume he has better things to do. But you can look it up. There's records. He even had a little thing in the newspaper when it says what the babies were born in the little local newspapers right there. You can look that up. But of course, since they were fed opinions by some idiot on talk radio, they can't back it up. They just parrot the phrase, they parrot the sentence, or they parrot the general idea they're given. And when asked to clarify, they can't because they didn't think about it. You know what I mean? It's like teach a man to fish versus give a man a fish. You know, if a guy's got fish to eat, he can eat the fish or whatever, but he doesn't know where it came from. He might not even know how to prepare fish.
Huh.
He doesn't know he just has a fish now. And he'll need further instructions on how to skin it and cook it and all that stuff. But if you have a fisherman, he knows where to get the fish, what to do when he's got the fish, and he can have that fish on your dinner table by that night without asking for anybody's help.
Makes sense.
And I think that's what we have a lot of Gainax fans are. Gainax is very good at pandering. They know their audience, and they know that their audience doesn't think all that much. So they can hand their audience simple yet overblown shit in a package that they know will be eaten up in one way or another. Either they do something different, it's not necessarily good, but it's different, so that catches people's eye, and then they will pander them in one way, like reference jokes or, shit they know otaku will eat up. A lot of fan service, reference jokes, fan service, a lot of the same shit. And they present it in a way that catches the eye, and they have instant popularity. It's not really on their merits so much as they know the formula. And I have to commend them in that. They have the formula down. They know there's a sucker born every minute, and they know how to they know how to pull a sucker's strings. Again, not everybody who likes Gainax is a sucker. I know people are going to call me pretentious, whatever. Not everybody's a sucker, but they're quite a bit of them. And you can spot them by just asking them to clarify and see how well they put it. Like, it's just cool. It's got he's like, Common is so manly, and there's drills are cool because they don't usually use drills in anime, and it's really emotional, and yeah, you were fed your opinions. Next person. And I think I've ranted enough. Alex, do you have anything to add?
Well, let's see. Bullet points. Gainax. They hand people fish. They can't draw drills worth shit. And they don't understand what makes romance enjoyable. Does that about sum it up?
That sums up something important about it, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and also they are the king, the Lord God Almighty of the pandering. If they know how, I think because they are otaku, so they know how otaku think. I don't think anyone in Gainax has seen a vagina in person. In years, if not ever.
Yeah.
There is not, someone who has a healthy active sex life does not produce what they produce. The level of fan service, all the creepy merchandise, you don't do that if you're getting some. Because when you're getting some, you can think about other things. Because you're satisfied in that arena.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Okay, well, when you're horny, you can alleviate that issue, and then life moves on. I've had my sex, I've spilled my seed, now on to the other matters of the day. So one who is getting some would not produce anything as fan servicey as that. So my final thing about Gainax, and probably its biggest issue, is I submit to you that many of them do not know what a vagina looks like. They would not know what to do with one were they to see one. If they were to see an actual vagina, they would go, ah, and just run. They would think it's a scary monster.
Well, if anyone from Gainax is listening to this, that's how you can get better. Hire people who know how to draw vaginas and drills. And see if you can't put those two things together somehow. Because that would be interesting.
Painful, but interesting.
Couldn't be any worse than Panty and Stocking.
Well said. From all of us here at the other side, I'm Cody Byer.
I'm Alex Berry.
And don't watch anything by Gainax. They don't give them your money. Give your money to good things, whatever they may be. They're out there. Go find them. They just probably don't have Gainax's logo on. Goodbye.
Take it easy, folks.
We